This is A.E. Chandler with an original history video. Today we're continuing our series on longbows, and we're going to be talking about the different parts of a medieval arrow. We've got a couple of announcements though. The first ebook in the Questionable Quizzes series is on sale for almost 20% off until Sunday over on Amazon Kindle, link below. And we've also got the second edition of The Scarlet Forest, A Tale of Robin Hood. It's actually in a book cover contest right now, and it needs your vote. So there's a link in the description. You can just click on the link and then click on the little orange voting button. It takes about 2 seconds, and I'd really appreciate it. Thanks. These are replica arrows that we had in the Warriors exhibit at the Glenbow Museum. The exhibit was just taken out after being installed since the 1990s. As you can see, this part of the exhibit has to do with the Battle of Crécy between the French and the English in 1346. And we've got some different types of arrows here. So the most important part of the arrow is the shaft. That is the wooden part. And the most popular woods for medieval arrows were ash and aspen. But you could also get other types of wood like elder, oak, beech, blackthorn, birch, all kinds of things. And because we have the Mary Rose, the battleship that sunk during Henry VIII's reign, we know that the war arrows on that ship were mostly between 28 and 30 inches, but they're at least 27 inches, and the longest is about 33. So that gives you an idea of the size that we're looking at with these guys. And you don't want green wood for your arrows. The wood needs to be seasoned. So there are 4, maybe 5 types of arrow shapes. Because of preservation, we're not really sure whether some of the shapes were intentional or just a result of how the wood is aged over time. So because we have the Mary Rose, we can see some of these different shapes. So these guys are the parallel, so they've just got straight shafts. There's also barreled, meaning that they taper roughly from the center out to both ends. There's bobtailed, meaning that it tapers from the shoulder to the nock. Breasted tapers from the nock to the head, and there also might be saddled. We're not sure if this is a bit of a mistake or not with how the arrows have been preserved in the water, but these tend to be thin in the middle and then get wider at both ends. And you want to make sure that you've got good quality wood for this. You want to make sure that it's not too whippy or the arrow is going to veer off to the right. And you want to make sure that the wood isn't too stiff either, otherwise it's going to veer off to the left. But the fletching, which is the feather part, does help to stabilize this. So the fletching could be different kinds of feathers. We mostly hear about gray goose, but in the 13th century we know that they were also using peacock feathers for this. So those might be more fancy kinds. Arrows weren't just utilitarian, they could be decorated. So we have evidence that sometimes they were red and gold, and these are maybe patterned even in spots. Fletchings tend to be 7 inches long, and they come in different shapes. So they might be swine-backed, saddle-backed, round, or triangular, like these ones. And those were the ones that you were going to be seeing used in war, and they could also be used for hunting as well. When you are picking out your feathers, you want to make sure that all of the fletchings, there's usually 3 of them, or it came from the same wing of the goose, so that they're all kind of slanting in the same direction. Otherwise your arrow is going to do some pretty weird things when you shoot it. The fletching was fastened to the shaft either with glue or with waxed silk. Behind the fletching, right at the back here, we've got the nocks, and that's a little notch cut into the shaft so that it fits onto the string. Nocks were an average depth of 1/4 of an inch or 6 millimeters on war shafts, and inside the nock or the notch there would be a little piece of horn called a nock piece, and this would be about 2 inches long and glued in there, and the purpose of that would be that when the bow is loose, I don't know if you could see the replica bow up there, the string puts all of its force into the nock of the arrow and propels it forward, and you don't want the arrow to split in two before it even gets to your target. So the horn reinforces that. Right up here at the other end of the arrow, we've got, at the end of the wood, underneath the head, a cone, and that would, on my little replica here, so you've got the arrowhead with the socket, and it would fit over the cone. And the cone would be an average of 7/8 of an inch or 22 millimeters. And it's important that it fits into the socket of the arrowhead with a good fit, because with ash, if the cone isn't filling in the socket, then the socket will open if it strikes a hard surface like plate armor, and that really reduces the effectiveness of your shot. And if you have an aspen shaft, then the shaft will just shatter. So we've got the nock, the fletching, the shaft with the cone inside there, and then the arrowhead. And the arrowhead is made of iron and steel in the medieval period. And we'll talk about the different types of arrowheads. You can see they're all different kinds in the next video. For more original history, check out the other videos on this channel or my historical novel, The Scarlet Forest, A Tale of Robin Hood, available at Amazon, Chapters, and all over. Thanks!